Hello and welcome to another special episode of the Oddschecker betting show. I'm your host, George Elek, and we are delighted today to have an interview with Betfair ambassador Paul Nicholls, a man who's had many, many good days at the Cheltenham Festival over the years, and fingers crossed, another couple coming to next week. Thanks very much for joining us today. How are you feeling ahead of next week?
Yeah, looking forward to it. Good to see it's a drying forecast and the ground looks like it's not going to be too bad. All the horses we got here that we're preparing are all in good shape and looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think we're all looking forward to it too, counting down the hours now rather than the weeks. You've had a brilliant season to date so far, 141 winners and counting, but obviously in pretty funny and strange circumstances. How's it been for you?
Well, obviously it's very odd. The big thing is that, the owners obviously haven't been able to go and see the horses run, and the races is very quiet. It's a shame basically for the owners that are investing so much money in having the horses in training that they can't go and watch a run. But I know a lot of them had sort of been enjoying actually getting used to watching them, obviously on ITV Racing or other channels, and I've got used to it really. And there's light at the end of the tunnel. We're all looking forward to the fact next season might be back to normal. That's what we're all hoping, and it's good that we kept racing on the go all the time during the last 12 months. And yeah, we are where we are. We just got to get on with it now.
Thinking back to some of the incredible times you've had at the festival, thinking about Quarto Star wins, thinking about, the incredibly popular Frodon's win in the Rhino a couple of years ago as well. I mean, the fans, at least from my point of view, it might be different for you, played a big part in that. So what will it be like being at the festival without any spectators or walking one of your horses into the winner's enclosure without that incredible reception?
Yeah, well, that's going to be totally different because there's nothing like the most amazing feeling in the world is walking into that winner's enclosure when you just won a Gold Cup or one of those major races. Obviously, things will be totally different. But I suppose during the year, we've got used to it. It's like when they won the King George this year with Frodon, you're going into that winner's enclosure and there's no one there. So it's totally different to a day when there's the most amazing atmosphere. But look, it is what it is. We've had to just deal with it. And I said, let's hope next year we're back to normal.
Yeah, fingers crossed, exactly. I mean, on the technical side of things, do you think there not being any fans will impact the way that races pan out? Do you think there'll be certain horses that are suited by the situation and the circumstances?
I don't think they probably got used to it during the season as well. I mean, there's some horses that, actually a crowd and the occasion never gets to them a little bit, and in the preliminaries can get a little bit wound up. Other horses it can wake up a little bit, but I think on the whole, I wouldn't think there's any in mind it would make any difference to their. They're all professional horses. They all know what they're at, and they'll be fine.
Let's now look ahead to next week and some of your chances, some of your runners at the festival. And we'll start with Politologue, who's looking to defend his champion chase. How's he been after the Clarence House?
Yeah, he's fine. He came out of the race well. He had a nice little break afterwards, and he always comes good in the spring. He doesn't really like that January cold weather. That's not a plus for him. But this time of year, when the spring, in the spring, it's a bit warmer. It's not so cold. He's very happy and he's in good shape. He had a racecourse gallop at Wincanton last week with all the other Cheltenham horses. He led them all a merry dance around there. Had a good day out. Very happy with him. He's in good shape, I'd say.
Plenty of festival hot pots, most of them coming over from Ireland, and you'll be taking on one of them in Shacon Porca.
Yeah.
And how do you judge your chances against a horse that's never travelled, let alone run at the Cheltenham Festival?
Well, I mean, Shacon Porca, I think he was at Cheltenham last year and had a problem and couldn't run. So he's obviously been travelled over once, but he hasn't run on the course, which is the only disadvantage I can see because he looks a fantastic horse. He's been brilliant in his 2 runs, and I was blown away by him the last day when he won at Leopardstown. So if he acts on the course, he's probably the one we've got to beat.
You've got a couple others entered into the race as well. Grenadine, Magic Saint and Duke de Geneva. Will they all take up their entries?
No, the only other one will be Grenadine that Bryony rides. He ran in the Game Spirit the other day. He was a bit fresh. He's come on for that run. He's the sort of horse who could run really tidy.
Interesting. We'll move on then to the Gold Cup, and Frodon looks to be your Gold Cup horse for next week. An incredible win back on Boxing Day when we last saw him in the King George. I mean, we obviously know that Frodon's a horse who has a special place in your heart and you think a lot of. Were you surprised by the manner of that victory on Boxing Day?
Yeah, it did surprise us all in the King George, to be honest with you. I know we got a fairly soft lead in front, but he still get galloping all the way to the line, dictated things, quicking up well in the straight, and stayed on strong. And horses at Wing King George's have a habit of running well in a Gold Cup. The dry and forecast next week is a massive plus for him as well, so that's good. I'm very happy with his preparation, the way he is at the moment, and yeah, he's an exciting horse to have in the race.
I mean, everybody remembers the interview with Bryony Frost after the Ryanair win. I mean, how big a part has she played? You know, and what a partnership those two are. How big a part has she played in Frodon's story so far?
Yeah, well, she gets on well with him. Obviously, that goes without saying. Won a Ryanair on him, won all those races. They get on particularly well. I don't know for why, really, but they do get on really well, and it's a great partnership which you wouldn't want to break up, really. So, you know, the pair of them have won well at Cheltenham. That's a great plus in the Gold Cup. It's a massive advantage if you've got a horse that acts on the track. You know, if you've got horses, I've run a couple of late, Sylvaner, Conti, and Flanders Abode, just hate the track, just don't operate on it at all. Whereas Frodon loves it. So that's a big plus. That's a big advantage.
Move on to the Ballymore now, where you've got Bravemansgame, who looks an incredibly exciting prospect, just behind the Irish pair in the market at the moment. The only horse who's beaten him so far this season was Soaring Glory, who's of course gone on to some pretty good things. 17 length combined margin of victory over his last two runs, over 2.5 miles. How excited are you by him?
Yeah, for the future, very. You know, he's going to be an awesome chaser in time. But, you know, he holds his own in right as a novice hurdler, as you say, against Soaring Glory at Chepstow over 2 miles. First time they both ran very, very good races, and we were thrilled by that. And then he stepped him up in trip, and he's not looked back. And of course, he won the Challow Grade 1 at Newbury very easily at Christmas. I mean, you could argue that he's had a couple of soft races, and I mean, his margin in his way, he's won very, very impressively. But, you know, we've kept him fresh for this, and he's definitely got a chance. You know, it's a good race. All those races are at Cheltenham. And in the, you know, like Demon got beat in this race. So it's not an easy race to win, but he's very well, great preparation, and looking forward to it. And again, he won't mind the fact that the ground doesn't look like it's going to be too bad.
One of the, I mean, we can obviously assume, and what you're saying, that Bravemansgame will go for the Ballymore, but at this time of year, a lot of people wondering and trying to work out who's going to be running where, and that brings us on to next destination, aptly named. Will he be going for the Brown Advisory Novice Chase?
Well, I've got to talk to Malcolm over the weekend. We haven't made a definite decision. Favourite is he'll run in the Novices Chase. Obviously, we just want to see what's confirmed and see what's confirmed on Tuesday. We haven't got to make our mind up until Sunday morning. So we've got plenty of time to just look at the weather forecast and the ground and one thing and another, make sure he's okay. So we'll make a decision, you know, the weekend. I mean, if I don't run Next Destination in the National Hunt Novice Chase, I should run Soldier of Love, who actually has got good form with the favourite. We kept him fresh for the race. So he's not without a chance if it kept on drying. And Next Destination is a very smart horse who finds plenty. He's only won his 2 novice chases. I prefer probably 3.25 rather than 3 miles on the old course. But, you know, hey, it is what it is, and he's a class animal. Yeah, and Monkfish, obviously everyone knows he's a very smart horse. He's looked imperious in Ireland, but never be afraid in one in a novice chase around Cheltenham. That's what I've always been taught. And
then Hous Grix has been one of the gambles of the last couple of weeks in the Cheltenham Festival so far for the Boodles, in from about 16-1 to favouritism now. Only one run for you so far, but suggesting that the mark of 128 is a workable one.
I think it is, yeah. He ran very well at Chepstow in very, very deep ground. He hadn't been with us that long. I don't usually run them that quick when they come from France, but that was a tidy run. He had a little break after that and did a really sparkling gallop at Wincanton last week. And the drying ground will suit him, I'd say. I don't think he'd want it too soft. 128, I think, on Grade 1 form looks a nice mark. Yeah, he worked very nicely last week, and I just suggested to the owners that he might run well. They've obviously had a little bet on him, but I don't think there's been a gamble on him. Or not that if it is, I don't know who. He just and he was 16-1. I think the owners have had a few quid on, and he gets shortened up. And then if you look at his profile and look at it, you actually think, well, yeah, he has got a big chance. So you know, hopefully he'll run very well.
Yeah, definitely the kind of thing at this time of year as well, where people start seeing the prices going and jump on board rather than anything bigger than that. Yeah. We just, before we let you go, because we know you're very, very busy, a couple of questions about other horses running at Cheltenham. One that we've asked a few trainers in the past and a few recently as well is if you could take one other horse from a different yard ahead of this year's Cheltenham Festival and train him yourself and bring him into your stable, who would you take?
Envoy Allen, without a doubt. I think probably everyone says that, but to me, he'll win the Marsh Novice Chase next week, and he'd be one of the favourites for next year's Gold Cup. I think he's very smart. The other one, you wouldn't say no to Monkfish. He looks very, very good. But I'm particularly like Envoy Allen.
And any horses you're looking at, we've got a lot at the top end of the markets. You've got your Shishkins, your Monkfishes, Concertista, a lot of short price favourites. Any that you think look a little bit vulnerable going into next week?
No, the Novice Chase on the first day, Shishkin, he's very impressive. But Willie's horse is he looks very smart as well. I mean, they're interesting. But the thing about the racing is so competitive at Cheltenham. Obviously all the favourites don't win because it is so competitive. What is vulnerable, what isn't, it just depends on the ground and different factors on the day. But they certainly won't all win, that's for sure.
And if you could have your pick of the ground next week, what would you be choosing?
Good to soft. Perhaps I love good to soft. I love running horses on better ground. I hate running them in deep ground. Doesn't seem to suit our style and what we're doing. Good to soft would probably suit everybody. No one would have any excuses. If it was a little bit better on Friday, that would help even more. And
just a final question: if you could go back and relive any of the great days you've had at Presby Park, where would you go back to, and what day would you relive?
Probably the first day where won the Gold Cup in 1999 with Seymour Business. That was really, I probably wouldn't be here now if it hadn't been for him. And that was an amazing day. It was my landlord's ambition to win a Gold Cup, Paul Barber, and that day was just very, very special. That started the whole ball rolling, really, Seymour Business. So very grateful for him, and that was an amazing day. Well, Paul, fingers crossed there'll be another incredible chapter in your story at Cheltenham Festival next week. And thank you very much for taking the time to speak to us today. My pleasure. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen to this podcast or watch this video. If you enjoyed it, then do subscribe to the Oddschecker YouTube channel or to the Oddschecker podcast on any podcast platform. And thank you very much to Betfair Ambassador Paul Nicholls for joining us. Do keep an eye out, though, because we are recording the Oddschecker Cheltenham Festival preview sponsored by Betfair, where Andy Holding, Tony Calvin and Barry Orr will be the expert panel of guests I'll be hosting, and we'll be going through every single race at the Cheltenham Festival, hoping to unearth the value. So do download that. Please do enjoy the racing next week, and please gamble responsibly.